Welcome to Heart, the podcast sharing real stories from local LGBTQ+ people. I'm your host, Andrew Towers, and each week I'll sit down with local voices to amplify their stories and share experiences that resonate with those who need it most. This podcast is brought to you by Heart Gables, an LGBT charity dedicated to supporting people in Teesside and East Durham. In this episode, we're kicking off part 1 of a 3-part series exploring personal experiences of coming out. Joining us today is Jess. We are delighted to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
You've been coming to Heart Gables for how long is it now?
That's a good question. Is it 2.5 years, is it?
Yep, that sounds about right.
Oh no, that'll be longer actually. About 3.5.
Is it that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's so long.
So 3.5 years ago when we first met you, what was going on in your life?
So much. So 3.5 years ago, I was in the closet, very stressed. I wasn't sure what I was doing. I knew I was maybe more into women than I thought I was, something I pushed down for a long time. And I think it was just the build-up. And at that age, I must have been 25, was I?
Yeah.
Terrible with ages. About 25. That's when you settle down, have kids. And I think that's when I was getting really stressed, realising, you know what, this is not me.
Yeah. And was that when you first, around the time you first started to realise or question your own identity, or had you done that before when you were younger?
Oh, I'd done that before when I was younger. So I know I started really, really young. I mean, even watching like Totally Spies, I was like, yes, I think I fancy you. And a few little odd cartoons now and then. And then I did fancy a few people as I got older, but I didn't fully realise that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I think it really hit when I think I must have been about 15. Yeah, I was about 15. So a lass I was really close to in school, she's called Lucy. She's such a lovely person. We were really good friends, and I think it took one moment, and I just knew in a second. I was like, I definitely fancy you. And then I thought, I can't be friends because I can't have this life. You know, being brought up, have kids, have a family, have a husband. So I thought, well, that's not for me. But then I also was too scared to do it. It was a big fear of mine. It was, you know, in my family, everyone's married, got 2 kids, like just traditionally, like everyone. So I felt like I really couldn't do that, and there was a lot of pressure on me, and I knew I really wanted kids at one point. So people were thinking, oh, should I have kids, should I have a husband? And that was very much a big issue, if I'm honest. But yeah, I knew when I was quite young, and I thought I was bisexual for a long time because I fancied Aladdin. I thought, you fancy Aladdin, then you must be bisexual.
Oh, well, yeah. I think all of us have had that kind of moment.
And then Cole Sprouse from Spirits That Concordia, I thought, I think I fancy you too. But then it really wasn't until I was about 23, 24, when I really realised I don't think I'm into men. And I'm not sure, but there was one day I sat at work and I was just so severely low, and I was like, I'm definitely gay, I'm definitely lesbian, and I don't know what I'm doing in life. But yeah, it was so interesting thinking back when I was younger, because there were so many signs. Thinking back, it was just really obvious. But yeah, did I push it down?
I do think that, I think a lot of LGBT people that I've spoken to describe sort of similar experiences, those that hindsight moments where you're like, how could I not have known? But I do think that in a lot of cases we genuinely couldn't have known because we didn't have the vocabulary. It's not presented to us as an option in the same way it is to straight people, because like the majority of media that we consume is straight, cis straight material.
Definitely.
And certainly in school, I know that when I was in school it was section 28, but I mean when you were in school I guess it wasn't really embedded in the curriculum that much.
It really wasn't. And as well, looking back, many kids who you thought, oh, they could be gay, they all weren't. And then all of a sudden people thought, oh, I think they are. As I got older, they finally came out, because school back then wasn't very safe. It wasn't very like known about. A few people who were out were very out, and I absolutely loved that for them. And I think looking back, I think now this day and age, it is more accepted.
I think it's wonderful to see the kind of the inclusivity in the curriculum, and kind of worrying
Yeah.
as well to see some of the things around about gender identity that are being said in
Definitely,
proposed guidance, because I can't see how that will benefit anyone not learning about something that is part of human
It's honestly
condition.
crazy. But yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
So when you did come round to coming out as an adult, how, if you're comfortable talking about this, how did your family kind of react? Did you have support from your family? Or
It was really hard. I mean, how I finally came out, I kind of got forced out by my ex-girlfriend. It was awful emotionally relationship, and things wouldn't go further if I didn't finally end it. But that's the only one good thing that actually came out of that relationship is, one, definitely gay. Found out that, but then also I think I struggled to come out eventually, and I felt like that was at the time a good thing. Which I know a few people think I got forced out, I didn't want that, but I'm one person to say I got forced out and it was a good thing. So if you get forced out, it's alright, kids. But yeah, my family, they weren't the best. So my mum, that was the biggest struggle, because when I finally told her, she was, you could just tell on her face, she was really disappointed, really upset. And the quote that I'll never forget, when she said, "I got a big house for grandkids that I'm not going to get." And it's like, you understand, but it's also really hurtful. And then she was like, "You've showed no signs, so you're just being rebellious, basically. What's going on?" And was questioning a lot of my behaviour. Yeah, it was really hard. I think my mum was probably the hardest one. But then my Auntie Olive, who's a Christian, I believe, when she found out, she was phoning me. She was like, "Oh, what's she called? My cleaner, she's lesbian. If you want to phone her, she's a great person. She'll tell you everything about lesbians." And I'm like, what's going on? But Olive, absolute diamond, love her so much. So she was just amazing. I didn't expect that at all, like at all. Was with a partner at the time, and we were together for kind of a few years, 8 years, I think. He was absolutely lovely, and I think I could have ended things much easier with him, because I think I hurt him in the end. I think that's another thing, that he sort of was accepting, and then it turned a bit sour, which is understandable. But it took it better than I thought, to be honest with you. So a few people took it so different. I did lose a few friends, which is one of the hardest things to come out, because you will find that you will lose people on the way, but then you find out who true friends are that way. So I had two who I was really close to in primary school, and friends for absolutely years. And then I did kind of come up beforehand, and it didn't really end very well. But we carried on our friendship, and then finally said that I had a girlfriend. It had to stop. There's a few hurtful things, and it was really upsetting, because when you lose friends, it does feel like, I'm punching a hat, really. But looking back now, you think, well, actually they weren't the bestest friends, and you can get better friends. And then you find your little community of friends as well. So see, Heart Gale will help with that. That was brilliant. But I think my dad took it pleasantly well, which I also didn't expect. But yeah, I think it is.
People surprise you, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Like, my dad was just number one, and his friend Tris was all for it and was like, "Yes, Queen," and I was, "Oh my god," and it was just an absolute angel. We met up for a cup of coffee, and it was just so bizarre. Like, my dad's friend being so supportive. It was like, this is lush. Like, some people don't think would be so supportive and want to see the best people.
I think there's something to be said. I don't know if you agree, for like showing people more of yourself, of your genuine self, and that sometimes helps relationships deepen. Like, you do lose some people, which is obviously, it can be heartbreaking, but you're left with people whose, your relationships with them are deeper, I think, sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And even looking back now, so my mum really struggled with it. But then in time, now she's like my number one supporter.
Yeah.
It's like, she just
great.
came out and was like, "Take it back." It was like a pride bag. I'm like, "I love it, mum." And it was just so sweet. And then she'll be like, "Oh, I'll come to your group and see what it's all like." And obviously the Heart Gables group, I thought, God, who is this woman? Like, she's completely changed, and it meant the world to me. But I think sometimes people do need longer. And I felt a lot of people need to think, it's a lot for them as well. And either way, you still have your parent there or your friend. It might take them a bit longer, but if they're trying, that's all you can ask sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she became absolute number one. Now she absolutely loves my girlfriend and was like, he's coming over for tea, he's doing this. And I think we're pretty closer now than ever.
That's wonderful to hear. That really is.
And
And
you
it's,
know,
yeah. No,
a
no, go.
really cheesy thing is as well, at least every other month she'll be like, are you so happy, Jess? You're so
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
And she'll just constantly say, like, look at your eyes, they're so happy. And I'm like, they are now. You know,
Mm.
you don't realise that you're in a dark place when you're hiding such a big part of yourself.
Yeah. I think that sometimes does. I mean, obviously, this never happens for some people, which is terrible. But it's so good to see it when it does happen, which is when family members are on their own journey of like educating themselves, but then also part of what helps them realize that this is a positive thing is seeing how happy it
Yeah,
makes their family member who is LGBT. And
definitely.
yeah, and of course, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what it means to be LGBTQ plus, and people have this idea in their heads sometimes, and also I think sometimes family members worry, and they worry that people are going to experience prejudice, perhaps, and that can be part of it.
Yeah. The mum was worried in case I
Yeah.
got, you know, egged on the street or like yelled at. And I was like, Mum, one day, hopefully, this will become so normal.
Yeah,
I was like, I know you're going to be scared of that, but you could be scared of anything. Like, there's so many things you can get, like, just caught at the street for no reason. And it's like, okay, I might look lesbian if I wear, like, a shirt and be like, that's lesbian.
yeah.
But it's just, it's fine.
So earlier you mentioned kind of like finding other people
Yeah.
to spend time with
Yes.
and socially. So did you feel you found a sense of community after coming out locally?
Definitely, because you know, I didn't have that many gay friends. And a funny story, one of my closest friends, Kaz, she's been out for absolute years now. She said, you know, when I first met you at work, I thought you were a bit like homophobic, you know. And I was like, what? Then she was like, you know, I mentioned something with my girlfriend, like, oh, well, me and my boyfriend were doing amazing, da da da. It always cover up about your boyfriend, how great things are. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was putting this conversation to Angus was jealous.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so funny because she was like, hey, look at you now, I'm so proud of you. And it is still so funny to this day. But yeah, having the community has been brilliant. So obviously, I was going to the Hat Gables group on the Wednesday. But one of the best things was about the group was when I first went there, I had no idea what to expect. And it was great because I met people there who were either still in the closet or still find out who they are. So it's a safe space. You don't need to be fully out to go there. You get the support and there's no rush and you have that community already.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because you can talk to people about the stories, the struggles, and just having them people around you that just are really great people. It's like this little community, this. And it's brilliant because there's so many games and food and pizza. It's like, this is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Would you have any advice to give someone who's considering coming out but who might be feeling uncertain or scared?
Oh, some advice. You know, don't be too harsh on yourself. If you say to yourself you're not ready, maybe a bit later in life, it doesn't matter what age you come out as long as if you finally come out to be happy in yourself. There is no rush to come out, but when you do come out, you get that absolutely huge weight lifted from you and you finally be fully yourself. And I can't explain to you how good that feeling feels. It's like covering up a part of who you are and your happiness, relationships, people around you. It's just an unreal feeling finally being yourself. But just not to be too hard on yourself. And if you're struggling to come out, or when you finally come out and everything's being absolutely chaotic, you fall out of friends, family kicking you out, all this, it's like, you know, this is temporary. Your happiness is forever.
I think that's very good advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
So how do you feel about sharing your story on a public platform and knowing it might help other people who's listening?
It feels really good. I feel like people need to hear these stories because sometimes people can relate to it. I'll be like, oh, you know what? That sounds like similar to my mama react. And I feel like it's good to sort of let people know your stories to be like, you know, because back in the day I was literally so in the closet, like it was so bad and dark in there. And I finally am at this stage and I feel like people need to know I've been at that point where I was so scared, didn't want to come out, and now I'm out happy, got an amazing girlfriend, 2 little sausage dogs and a cat to the family, and life's just really good now.
Well, that is amazing to hear. Thank you so much, Jess, for joining us on the podcast today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today, but also just to know you really, and, you know, having known you for a few years now and having seen your, I suppose you could say, journey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you describe it as a journey, but
Yeah.
sort of how you've kind of come out of your shell, I suppose, the longer we've known you, and the confidence that you've gained through coming out and finding those parts of yourselves and telling other people about them, and incredible bravery, really.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're so happy now.
You know, them one-to-ones absolutely sorted me out from the beginning, because if people knew me beforehand, I was so upset, I was so stressed, I was so depressed, if I'm honest. I mean, at some points I was just so depressed that I'll literally just dissociate from my life, you know. And when I came here to one-to-ones, and obviously I cried to people, I thought, oh my gosh, this woman's not okay. And I really wasn't. But yeah, you helped me with the support, you helped me how to find people, how to sort of love myself, how to sort of find the red flags in my partners back in the time, and it completely helped, and it was brilliant. And that's all because one night shift I was just so low, I was like, I need to giggle, I need to find someone to help me, and then I found you guys.
I'm very glad you did, and I'm very glad that we could offer you some support. And I think it's something wonderful about the LGBTQ plus community is that wherever we are in the world, you know, whatever community you're in, and it certainly is happening locally as well, it's clear LGBT people find each other and form communities and offer each other mutual support. So I'm very glad that that's happened in this case. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Andy.
Thanks for listening to our Heart to Heart podcast. If you or someone you know would like support around their gender identity or sexual orientation, please visit our website www.heartgables.org.uk.